I really have to get back into making videos. So here we go. This is an attempt. I moved house like 18 months ago or something, and we have a dedicated room in the house for music practice, and it's set up like a little studio. I bought a fancy computer. I've got this amazing Barclay microphone. Monitor speakers, audio interface, MIDI keyboard. And then I stepped away from full-time teaching because I really never earned a lot of money doing that. That's honestly the biggest problem with that job, is that for years and years, I would be driving all over the countryside teaching people. I would go to multiple schools a day. Teaching people brass instruments, even ones that I don't consider myself an expert in, like the French horn and the trombone, the tuba. And I would spend half the money I earned on petrol. Often I would drive half an hour to someone's house for a half an hour lesson and drive half an hour back. I've worked an hour and a half. I've been paid for 30 minutes. And so, yeah, long story short, I had to move on from that stuff. But as soon as I got a full-time job, I suddenly realized that I didn't have the time or energy to commit to a lot of my other TCE, my online TCE teaching. And so things have been quiet. But I want to start doing some of these ad hoc speaking videos, because I really feel that I can share my expertise best in this way. And sometimes I even think that this is more valuable than taking lessons, because you can watch it over and over again. You can I can focus on things that I feel everyone needs to know and understand. And does there have to be 3 of everything? There are 2 good reasons. All right, so here we go. This is the first in what will hopefully be a series of videos about on the subject of spitting into a metal tube and the tongue-controlled embouchure, my experience, my perspective, and hopefully a little bit of knowledge. So the purpose or the point of this video today is that as of, where are we now? It's the 10th of November 2022. As of, I'm going to say 10 days ago or 9 days ago, I've now been officially using the tongue-controlled embouchure for 10 years, 10 whole years. So I thought I would just give a little bit of a story about that. I've written down some really vague questions like, what have I learned? Where are we going to go with that one? I have no idea. I haven't learned anything. That's but I'll start from the beginning. So I think it's probably worthwhile. I do a lot of sort of talking and thinking about how information is spread over the internet in terms of in relation to trumpet pedagogy in particular, in relation to how there are so many different schools of thought out there about how to play, what's the best approach to playing a brass instrument. And particularly the fact that in the past, if you wanted to learn from a particular school of thought, you had to seek out a teacher who was an expert in that and go and see them physically. And you would only learn what they told you. There may be a book. Most of the time, books are not very good. I have battled this argument out quite a lot in regards to Claude Gordon's systematic approach, for example, because there's a lot of vital information missing from that book. And if you don't go to somebody like Jeff Pertl and have lessons from someone who was there, somebody who knew, somebody who really understands that system, I would say, and I hope that I understand TCE equally well, you're not going to get the whole picture. But this is the deal, is that you can go online, and if you're a little bit smart, certain websites, you can download all of Jerome Callett's materials. You can download all of his books. You can download all of his videos at basically no cost. And I don't think you'll be able to learn to do the system without the teacher. I hope that this is cohesive. I don't know. This part of the talk wasn't planned. I've put out a lot of content. Ralph Salamoni has put out a lot of content, and Bob Civiletti did some back in the day. Me and Ralph contradict each other a lot, because there is definitely things we don't agree on, but it's because everyone's individuals and we're all sharing our own experience. He didn't have the teachers that I had before. I haven't had 40 years of friendship with Jerome Callett like Ralph has. And so, of course, we're going to say different things. I hope that it doesn't come down to people saying one person is right and another person is wrong. What I would say on that topic, so that I can wrap it up, is that my playing is a direct result of my experience. And my experience is I've just spent a decade working on the TCE. So if somebody comes at me after 10 years and says that I'm still doing it wrong, then I genuinely don't care. This is the thing, is that actually I've been given the thumbs up by every person who knows that I've come across. Obviously Bob Civiletti, because I took lessons with him and I've hung out with him a lot for a while, some years ago, 5 years ago. I have talked online with a lot of people who spent a lot of time with Jerome Callett, and they all say that I'm doing good work. And so that's really all I care about. I'm not going to make any more effort to argue against any criticisms come my way as a result of people who don't remember who I am, despite having spoken to them and played my trumpet to them and been signed off by them as well. That's the end of that. I'm going on a tangent I don't want. Okay, so this is the thing. I was trying to talk about how you get hold of information. Now, I was in 2012, I was busy doing quite a lot of private teaching and not a lot of professional playing. I would, I know specifically that I had to go and play The Trumpet Shall Sound in a performance of Handel's Messiah I just had this horrible paranoid thought that the microphone wasn't plugged in. Can you believe that? I had to go and play a performance of Handel's Messiah in December of 2012, and that's part of the story. But I couldn't honestly tell you what my gig before that was. I had actually, it was a strange time because I'd moved to this town in Somerset, and at the time I was playing in two bands, and I got kicked out of both of them for it wasn't artistic differences, it was financial nonsense, and that's a shame. Anyway, that's the problem with trying to turn art into a business, isn't it? So I was doing a lot of teaching, and I used to go online and try to find resources to use with pupils. I also used to go on YouTube a lot, and, it certainly wasn't half as busy as it is today in terms of the information that's available. Hundreds, if not thousands, of trumpet players putting out videos and trying to share their wisdom, and much of it is all the same wisdom. which I might argue isn't all that wise and mostly incorrect, because it's just Chinese whispers sharing around bad ideas. But I was on the Trumpet Herald forum, and still, despite that, I hadn't discovered the Jerome Khalett Super Chops section of the forum, which was huge at that time. In fact, here's a little sort of another tangent. Oh, aren't you lucky? Here's another tangent. So Jerome Khalett actually had a website. I think it was just Khalett.com back in the day, since about 1997, which is pretty early. It's, I think sort of most, maybe Americans started to get the internet in their homes around 1993 or 4. I know I didn't have an internet connection at home until 1997, maybe late 96. But yeah, he was there at the forefront of getting the information out there. And even so, nobody that I knew had ever heard of Jerome Khalett. Whilst I was at specialist music school, having lessons from, the most famous British players and teachers, or when I was at Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama, learning from, well, actually, I don't want to lie about it. Philippe Schartz, my primary teacher, definitely had heard of Jerome Khalett, but piecing together all of the nonsense information online and trying to actually have a system that works as a result is it's exactly what I was saying before a moment ago. It's just not actually, it's not really viable, and he couldn't figure it out, and probably wouldn't have wanted to, considering that he held a principal chair in one of the only big professional orchestras left in the UK. And why would you risk that for the sake of curiosity, essentially, doing embouchure change for fun? Anyway, I'm jabbering so much. Where are we at now? 12 minutes in. Okay. I may have to cut this into 2 parts, because we're not getting anywhere, in fact. I remember falling out with Kurt Thompson in 2012 because he'd put up a video of himself playing Herbert Clark's stuff, basically saying, I challenge anyone in the world to be able to play this at the same speed as me. And when you put a metronome on it, he couldn't play in time. And so I called him out on it, and he wasn't happy. And then all of his videos disappeared. So I wonder which one of us was right. But that's sort of the pattern of his behavior, isn't it? Is that he just deletes his YouTube account every now and again and starts fresh. I always no, let's not go down that path. I just get back on topic before my self-imposed 15-minute time limit. Where are we doing? 13 minutes. I'll get there. So I had stumbled across superchops.com. I have no idea how I found that website, probably just a random Google search result. And I remember reading it on my phone whilst watching television, and just being in a state of utter disbelief that somebody would be saying the things that he said. I think the most prominent example being every note is started with a tongue stop, which kind of sounds a little bit insane. But being the sort of person I am, when I discovered these ideas that contradicted everything I knew, I had to try it. And I was really curious. And I think I did then, obviously, because I knew the name Jerome Khalett, I had started searching, and I found the Khalett section of the Trumpet Herald website. And I spent a few months reading that stuff. And I had tried to spit buzz, and I've got, you'll remember the last video I posted was one from my archive of practice videos of the past. And I've got a lot of those, and I've got one that is my first attempt at spit buzzing, which is absolutely terrible, doing it completely wrong. But the interesting thing is that even that, I was creating a better sound than I had with my, at that point, 20 years of experience playing in a more traditional way. I would say, you know, that cleaner attack, that more centered sound, already using less air, though probably still 4 times the amount that was required to get a to create sound. So yeah, it was very intriguing. But how are we doing for time? Yes, we're over 15 and a half minutes. I just want to tie this little bit back up then, and I'll jump back in with another video. So in November of 2012, I was 6 weeks away from a performance of the Trumpet Shell Sound, part of Handel's Messiah, and I decided I was going to go all in on TCE for 3 weeks. And if at the end of 3 weeks I couldn't play the trumpet, I had 3 weeks to get it all back. I don't really think that's as much of a gamble as many people would think, but I am in the very fortunate position of you know, I've not struggled a lot with playing over the years. I did have a defective embouchure. I did really struggle with certain techniques like double and triple tonguing when I was younger. But I wasn't in fear that I was going to lose the ability to make sound come out of my horn. So, yeah, so it wasn't as much of a gamble as it sounds. But long story short, short story long, I did the gig with as close to TCE as I could in those days, and everything went fine. And so I never looked back. Is that true? Tune into the next episode to find out. All right. Okay, well, this is I enjoyed talking about this stuff, and I'm going to talk about it some more in future. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.